Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to do some little bit of housework and get to all these little places and hit go live. And let's just get live everywhere. And so as you get here, make sure that you let me know that you're here. Make sure. Hold on. That you let me know that you're here. There we go. All right. I have to get everything set and ready to go. And I really like to be prompt. And this morning I was grabbing a cup of coffee. And all of a sudden it was like, it's time. All right. So I'm going to give everybody just a minute to get here while I'm grabbing some of my stuff to share. Let's see, I got to put this over here so I can see better. So it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. I'm trying to see what I need to share here. And remember, as you get here, say good morning. Let me know that you're here. As I do all this stuff to have everything ready for you. All right, let me copy and paste things. I got my cats over there kind of rubbing against the legs of my light. So let's hopefully she's not going to knock anything over. But if she does, we'll handle it, right? For those that have been part of Stacy's world, do the thing. We do it messy, right? We do it messy, and that's okay. All right, so I'm getting it up. Oh, I know what I needed to do. Whoops. Let's see. Oh, hold on. All right, let's see if that did it. I don't know. All of a sudden I realized I hadn't let everybody know I was here yet. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and begin just a little bit. The thing that was coming up for me this morning, because I tell you guys a lot. In the mornings, I'm listening to a podcast or an audio book, or I'm watching or listening basically to YouTube videos as I'm getting ready and everything. And there's usually a recurring theme that seems to pop up when I'm doing that in the mornings. And then that's where some of these affirmations and journal prompts come from, because there's something that's in my thoughts. And then everything that I listen to or participate in just kind of reinforce something and give me ideas. And so it's beautiful how that works. And we just had April was our month of magic. And so we spent the whole month focused on magic, and I was blown away with the things that were coming into my life. And it's like, I've primarily focused as much as I can on things that I want to have in my life. But because we had this collective focus in April of magic, it was like, whew, I was shocked with all the things that were showing up for me. And there've been quite a few people that I've talked to that had a lot of similar experience, not the same things that were magical to them, but they had things that were showing up for them that it was like, oh my gosh, that is magic. Oh, I didn't realize it. And so it's powerful stuff that we're doing here together, right? And so this month, I've been, it's very new into the month. And one of the things that I've been really talking about a lot is the fact that, we can treat life as a game so that we're on this path that we're picking out the things that we want to do, and we do them. And let's, like, we're sitting back and we're seeing this game playing out and we're in control, right? Which we are. And then for some people, it's that they like looking at it as a fantasy novel, that they're writing the story of the fantasy of their life. And so it's looking at things differently so that we are more in tune, we are more open and aware that we can control what's happening to us because we work on the inside, right? And it's like not too long ago, I had a prospective client that came to me about hypnosis, and she wanted to lose weight. And as we're talking and everything, I told her, I said, the weight is not what you're really wanting from what we've just talked about. There's this and this and this and this and this. And none of those really have anything to do with weight. Do you see that? And she said, oh, yes. And so the thing is that what we think we want is just like the little surface thing that but there's so much stuff underneath that we really want, and we want to create in our lives. We just don't know how to do it. And that's one of the things this group is here for. And it's make lasting change, because I want to help you to discover what it is that you want to change and then actually make it happen. And let's make it happen to where it lasts. Because let's face it, if you're anything like me, which you may be, I started most of this journey for myself because I was so out of control with my food, and I had dieted so strict and exercised so hard and done all these things to manipulate my physical body. And I could do it, but I couldn't do it for a very, very long time. I would finally just go, oh, okay, I'm here. Then I'd go back to my old ways. And then I would be right back where I was and worse in no time, right? And I used to say, it took a long time to lose weight, but it was really quick putting it back on, because it was. And it's like one of those things that you have to work on what's going on inside for any change to be lasting. And whether that means you're wanting to quit smoking, because I've helped people with quit smoking, but there's a hell of a lot more about it than just let's put down the cigarettes, right? Because the cigarettes are they have some kind of hold on us. And what is that hold? And it's the same with food. There are people that have addictions to their jobs, or they have so many different things that they want to change. But it's like, why do you want the change? And I think I shared yesterday, I don't remember, but when I start to work with someone with hypnosis or coaching, one of the questions that I always ask is, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being, if it's okay, if it takes a while, it's okay if it doesn't happen, I'm good. I might not be happy, but I'll be okay. And a 10 means, holy smokes, if it doesn't change, I don't know what I'm going to do. It's got to change. So I'll ask people, where do you fall in there? 1 to 10, where are you? And if they pick anything lower than an 8, I say, let's wait until you're ready. Maybe, no, it's a 7. Sorry, I apologize. It's a 7. If you pick anything lower than a 7, then it's not time. Wait till you get to be higher. And if they pick a 9 or a 10, they are going to have the massive changes that they're looking for, because they want it. They really, really want it. Do you remember when I was talking about when I first started on this journey, and I wanted to decided that the next step for me to help me was just to become a health coach. And I could have hired a health coach and I would have done great, right? However, I wanted to be more invested. I wanted to spend, and not that I really wanted to spend the money, but it was like I knew deep inside from my life and the things that I've done and stopped and started and stopped and started, that if I didn't have enough invested in it, then I was going to probably give up. And so I went all in and to become a health coach. And so I spent a lot of money to sign up. Well, at the time, it felt like a lot of money, and sometimes it still is. Um, I spent a lot of money to sign up for this year-long program, and I thought, okay, if I'm doing something every week and I'm working with other people, and then I have to have practice clients, and I looked at all these things that I was required to do, and if I really, really wanted it, I was going to do it. And that was the one thing that I wanted to help me do it was the finances. Once I spent that money, it was like, oh, I couldn't walk away. I couldn't. I mean, I know there are people that do, but it was a strong enough desire for me because I met people that I went to school with that quit making their payments and lost the access to the material, and they were okay with that. I was not. The thing was that I wanted it bad enough. So see, even if my level of desire had been a 5, means right? Half of me wanted it and half of me didn't, and that's parts work. We'll have to talk about that. Um, but if I had been there and I spent all that money and signed all this up, then it would have been easier to walk away because my desire wouldn't be strong enough, right? So the thing is that's why it's really important to assess what your level of desire is, what your level is of you wanting to make this change. And if it's not there yet, then step back. And when it is, then that's when it's time to really, really move forward in things. That doesn't mean if your level's not high enough, you can't be in the group. Of course you can, because this is daily affirmations and journal prompts. It's Mondays lessons and celebrations, and you can utilize all the free things in this group, and you will get yourself to that level. But until your desire to change and change permanently gets to be at a certain place, you're playing. And so you can play in this arena with us, with our game. And then when you're ready to punch it in and make it bigger because your desire is suddenly gotten even larger for whatever reason, then that's when you'll kick it in a notch. But you be you and do things however it feels good to you, right? Because that's life. Like it is life is a game. And there's a beautiful book that I've read so many times, and I was sharing with someone yesterday. It's by Florence Scovel Shinn, and I may not pronounce her name correctly, but I'm Southern. I'm given grace with that. And but one of the books that she has is The Game of Life and How to Play It. And so it's really good. So if you have not seen it, I'm going to make a note so I can put a link in the comments. Hold on a second. Let me make my note. Okay, here's my note. That way I'll remember. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get to the affirmation. And hold on. All right, the affirmation for today is I am open to new experiences and unexpected delights, trusting that each brings me more happiness. And that's what we're here for, right? Is to be happy and to help others to feel our happiness and be part of the happiness with us, right? So, and remember that whatever comes after I am is ultra, ultra powerful. So I am open I am open. I am open to new experiences and unexpected delights. Let me share this so you can see it too. There we go. I am open to new experiences and unexpected delights, trusting that each brings me more happiness. So there's, I am open and trusting, right? So even if you only put, I am open and trusting, that would be amazing, right? Because that is gives you such a big arena of what you are needing or wanting, right? You're open to it and you're trusting that it's all going to take place. And that is a beautiful place to live. Open, trusting. All right, so now I'm going to get to the journal prompt. Hold on a second. Let me copy and paste this. All right. Our journal prompt. Recall a time when an unexpected event brought happiness into your life. For, there's probably a lot of them. And some of those unexpected events may seem tragic in the moment, right? Like I've shared before, I believe, I'm not sure, right? But it's been it'll be 10 years ago in June that my granddaughter was born. And when she was born, it was my son and his girlfriend's baby. And so I was so excited about this baby and being a grandmother for the first time. I was so super excited about it. And so I was helping them as much as I could. I helped her. I went and took her to get some maternity clothes, and I was just doing as much as I could. And at the time, they were living with his grandmother, my mother-in-law, and I was doing, like I said, doing as much as I could for them. And at the time, I told them, I'm so excited that I've got an extra bedroom in the house. I'm going to make this a little nursery so that when you guys come over, and I've got stuff set up for the baby can go take a nap, maybe the baby can stay with me a little bit, and, I can have the baby on the weekends. I was just doing all this planning because I was so excited, right? And so the day that the baby was born, I had gotten I got a phone call from the birth mother's, my son's girlfriend, from her mother saying that Jennifer, the mom, thought she might be, that labor pains were beginning, and that she wanted to know if I could come and get them because they didn't have a working car at the time, and take her to the hospital or to the doctor, whatever they needed to do. So I said, sure. So I dropped everything. I was actually at work, and I dropped everything and I left to go get them. And it was like a 20-minute drive from where I was. And so I drove there, and as soon as I got to the driveway, and it was a very long driveway, my son calls me and he's screaming and he says, I just delivered the baby. What do I do with the umbilical cord? And it was like whoa, right? And I said, don't do anything. I said, I'm going to call 911. You just be there. And I'm almost there. I called 911. The operator talked me through the different things to do and to help. And, when I got into the room where she was, the baby was still on the umbilical cord and was laying on her tummy, but the baby was a kind of an odd color. And she was screaming from pain and wanting to deliver the afterbirth and all that stuff, which I didn't even know that she would be in that much pain. But anyway, obviously she was. And so the operator told me to massage the baby and make sure the baby was breathing and get something warm to put on the baby and continue to massage the baby. And then when the operator heard the mom, she said, so you need to rub her stomach to help get the afterbirth out. And so I would rub the baby and rub the mom, rub the baby and rub the mom till the paramedics got there. And lo and behold, once they got there and they cut the umbilical cord, they handed her to me. And it was like, oh, I was in love, right? Beautiful baby. I was so excited. And I'm a grandmother and I'm just elated, right? And then I think it was the second day in the hospital. I can't remember because you know how memories get kind of skewed, right? When something happens. But I was at the hospital visiting and we were all sitting in the mom's room. We'd been in the NIC unit, watching her feed the baby and talking to the nurses and everything. And we go back into the room and we're sitting in there and these two women walk in with clipboards. And they say, they just kind of look very official. And they look at my son's girlfriend and say, we can't let you take this baby home. And you know why? And when she said that, it was like the room stopped. I thought, what the heck? I don't, and that's not the words I used either. And so it was very, don't even have a word for it. And she turned and looked at me and said, can you take her? Can you take the baby? And I was like a deer in the headlights. There's no telling what my face looked like when she said that to me. And I said, I'm not her mom. I'm his mom. And she said, we know who you are. And we're asking, can you take the baby? And she said, let's step outside. So we stepped outside of the room, me with the two women. And they started asking me questions, do you have space for the baby? Do you have accommodations? All these different things. And I said, well, yeah, I was beginning to fix a nursery, but the baby's premature. So I don't have everything ready. I don't have a bed. I don't, but I've got the space and I had started. And she said, she's going to probably be in the NIC unit for just a little bit. So you've got some time. Are you willing to take her? And I said, yes. And come to find out, there was some drug use involved. And when because it was a home birth, and I don't know why else, but they did a blood test. I don't know if they do that to everybody that has a home birth. I have no idea. But they did blood work and discovered that the mother had this drugs in her system. And so DFACS stepped in and was taking the baby. And so I got her. And the reason I'm telling you this whole story is because we just looked at, the recall a time when an unexpected event brought happiness into your life. Well, I was happy that I was going to be having a grandchild, but then all of this stuff started happening. And it was like, oh my gosh, I felt like the world, it was like have you ever seen those movies where they've got the person standing there and the world everything's happening around them, but they're still standing still? That's kind of what I felt like in the moment. It was like, holy moly, what do I do now? And so it was like, okay. So I went home and I told my sister, she came over, we rallied together. I was able to get a bed. I was able to do all the things I needed to do and get the nursery all set up. And then, my daughter and I were roommates at the time, which we are again. But she worked at Starbucks and I worked in the hair salon. And so we were able to get her schedule changed to where she worked at night and I worked during the day, because we had to wake her up every 3 hours of her life in the beginning to feed her, because this drug that was in her system did not let her um, recognize the signals, the hunger and signals and everything. And so left on our own devices, she would have just wasted away. Good morning, Joan. Thank you for joining me. And so as we're rallying around this little baby, I brought her home. Let's see, she was it was like, what was it? She was born on the 25th of June, and we brought her home on July 4th. And so she was in the NIC unit that time. And so we brought her home, and we had to take my daughter and I had to take the CPR classes. We had to do all that stuff. And we brought her home, and we started all the tasks that were laid out by the pediatrician and different things, because she was basically a special needs because she was born addicted to this drug, right? And so we did it. And I had her for the first 3 years of her life. The greatest joy. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. And not to say that it didn't have a lot of angst in there, because I was constantly, having to have these home visits by defects and all these different things. But an interesting thing happened, and I know I'm telling you a whole bunch of stuff that you probably don't care about. But this is something that was very unexpected and amazing, right? So when she was 6 months old, one of the things that the my son and his girlfriend were doing, where they were working toward unification. So they had these different things that they had to do, going to parenting classes and all these things to and getting drug tested and all this stuff, so that they could get full custody of this baby. And when she was 6 months old, the defects, the caseworker called me and said that they had had something that happened, and there was a turn of events. And she said that one of the things that my son had to do as part of the protocol to be reunited with this baby was that he had to do a paternity test. And they found out that he was not the father. And so that changed everything, because that meant legally I wasn't his grandmother. And so she was 6 months old. And I said, I don't care what the blood says. This is my granddaughter. So I want to keep her. And she said, well, unfortunately, that's not the way it works. And so I think this was a Wednesday. I don't even remember. And she said, so we'll be coming to pick the baby up on Friday. And I told my daughter, she was 20 at the time. Oh my God. She went and hid in her closet. And I wanted to. But fortunately, my son's girlfriend's family decided, since the goal was reunification, and I was more than willing to take care of this baby, that they would allow her to stay with me. And at that point, because they considered me fictive kin, which means I was choosing to be kin. I'd never heard the term before, but the money stopped, because they supplemented while she was a foster with me. They supplemented the things that she needed, and so the money stopped. They did continue to let her get like some of the little the formulas, and some of the grocery items, and some of the medical care. They did continue that, but the rest of it was now suddenly on my plate. And I wouldn't change a thing, because it was the most precious thing. And it was really hard to take her for their visits with them, to have them come pick her up. It was heart-wrenching to have all of that stuff happening. And like I said, I had her till she was 3. I had her at her 3rd birthday, and right before all that happened, the judge um, decided that when she was, I think she was 2.5, the judge decided that he was going to give custody to the mom and her husband at the time. She didn't ended up not marrying my son, and so I knew that it was about to end, but because of different circumstances, and I'm not going to go into it completely. I know I've spent enough time talking about it right now, for this journal prompt, right? Um, but I was able to, even after they gave custody, because of different things that happened, the birth mother was open and willing to let me still be part of her life. And I was able to be part of her life until she was, after her 3rd birthday. And then they cut me off. And she will be 10 in June. And so, but the amount of happiness that having her brought me, it's like she's still the screensaver on my phone. I get all these little memories and stuff on my, how Facebook does, all the time. And so I'm all the time reminded about this unexpected event. I was not expecting it to be this way at all, but it ended up being such an amazing bond with this baby that would not have been the same had not all this happened. And so I know I'll see her again one day. I don't know when, but I will. But I'd like for you to look at your life. And I know I spent a lot of time, probably shouldn't have, of talking about all this. But when you think about it, what is, our affirmation is being open to new experience and trusting, right? And so looking back in your life, what is an unexpected event that might have brought happiness into your life, that it came from somewhere you weren't expecting it? It showed up at a time that you really needed it, whether you even knew it or not. And just write out as much as you can. Get that journal prompt out there. Write it out. How did it change your view on things? Um, how did it help you to be more open to other experiences? And I have some things that were, amazing that happened, that the little synchronicities, like the house that I live in right now. I was living in another house. I sold my house and I was renting a house for a year, and I was planning on staying there. And the owner decided that to not have to pay so much capital gains tax before he sold it, he was going to move back into the house. And so all of a sudden that was off the table, and I had to find something very quickly. And I would look and look, and I couldn't find anything. And finally, I asked one of my salon clients, do you know of anybody that has a house for rent? And he said, no, I don't. But, I have some friends that just moved out of a house that they were renting because they were waiting on their house to be finished. And so I said, oh, cool. And he said, I don't really know much about it. I'll put you in contact with them. And I said, so what's their name? And he told me their name. And I said, wait a minute. She's a client of mine, and I've been to that house. He said, what? And I said, yeah. So I reached out to her and told her what I was looking for. And she said, if you want to sublease this house from us, that would be amazing, because their house wasn't finished at the end of their first year lease. So they had to sign another lease because he wouldn't let them do month to month. And when they did, 4 months in, it was 3 or 4 months, I don't recall, their house was finished. So they moved out, and they were still paying rent, and they were obligated to pay rent for a year, right? And so she said, if you would be willing to do it, let me see if he will let us sublease it and all that stuff. So I was able to get into this house. There was 6 months left on the lease with them. So I moved in, and then since then I signed a 2-year lease with them, and I've signed another 2-year lease because I love the house. But it was just very unexpected. But I had decided that I was going to let the pressure and the tension of looking for a house, to just let it go and just let intuition guide me and be open. And so normally I wouldn't have even asked a client because, I don't know, I can't explain it, but I wouldn't have even asked. But for some reason, I asked that client that day and ended up getting this house. And it's like amazing, right? So I would love to hear your story. What is something that might have happened unexpected to you because you were open and ready and trusting, right? So let me get back to the affirmation. So the affirmation is, I am open to new experiences and unexpected delights, trusting that each brings me more happiness. Even if I said, like, sometimes they don't start out as this delightful experience. It's like a gut-wrenching thing, but it brings you to something. You might have a story like that. And I have found that a lot of people have those kinds of stories. All right. And so then you put that on your sticky note, your index cards, your mirror on your, with a chalk marker, whatever you need to do to have that in your face so that you can look at it. And then you do your journal prompt, right? And so with your journal prompt, a lot of people in the group, they have a journal that is specifically for this, and they put the affirmations and the journal prompts in there, put the date so that you can go back and you can explore and see what was happening, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, and see the growth that you've had. And sometimes we don't even recognize how much our lives have changed, because it's such a slow process, and that goes for it changing for the worse too. So let's do this on purpose. Let's create the life that we want. Let's play this game of life like we're all in. It's our lives, and we only have one life. It's not like the game system where you lose your life and then you got another one pop up. Now, if you believe in reincarnation, maybe, but the thing is that we want to make this life that we're in right now, this one precious life, the best life that we can have. And we start with getting in tune with who we are and being open to the possibilities and trusting how everything is going to play together. So I hope that this has been helpful. I know when I do these, it's usually something that I need, and then it usually is pretty helpful for someone, and it's meant for you. And so share in the group, what you get out of this, or share in the group, what's happening in your game of life, your fantasy story that you're in. And share. Let everybody know what you're magnetically pulling to you and how beautiful life can be. If you're facing some challenges, you can share that too. And maybe there'll be somebody that might have this amazing epiphany of something that you can do that would make life better. However you use the group. It is here for you. These people are amazing people, and you will be so supported and loved with whatever it may be that you need help with, you need accountability with, whatever it is. Share. And for those that are watching this in different places, and you feel like you would like to be part of the group so that you can have this community of people to rally around you and support you, and in turn you can support them, then go to vickypoole.com. That's VICKIEPOOLE.com. You'll be prompted to answer some questions, And once those questions are answered, then you will be brought into the group and you can enjoy the community just like everybody else. And I like to say that we are all here together. It's almost like we're all sitting in my backyard, sitting around this big campfire, and we're holding hands and singing Kumbaya. We're just relaxed and welcome and opening to each other. And if that feels like something that you would love to be part of, then definitely ask to be in the group. All right. So you have an amazing, magical, open, and trusting day. Mwah. Love you guys.